Hey friends, what's going on? Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my channel as always. For those of you who are new here, I'm Daniel from iosoundstudio.com. In today's video, I want to revisit a topic that I previously talked about just a few weeks ago, and that is how to produce a song and keep it simple. So this is a super simple approach to music production, and this is a really good way to systematize your workflow for producing songs. So this is kind of a little bit of insight into how I systematize my approach to producing songs, and I highly recommend you do something similar for your workflow as well. I think it helps produce songs pretty quickly. So the last video that I did was more of a talking head, kind of breaking down all the things. Today, I'm going to be jumping into the box to be showing you what I've done and how I've applied this in one of my own songs that I recently put out a couple months ago. And I'll walk you through how I put this into practice. So the very first part of this process is to start with the arrangement. This is everything from the overall roadmap of the song to the actual lyrics and the chord progressions for each of the different sections of the song. This is kind of a generalized idea of what instrumentation you're going to use and all of that kind of stuff. So this is always where I start in every single song that I produce. I almost always have at least some sort of direction as far as these things are concerned in the songs that I make. So this particular song was a little bit unique in that I started with the chorus and then wrote the rest of the song kind of around that. So the chorus is like the high point of the song, or like the break after the chorus, you'll see later on. But it was kind of like reverse engineering of like, okay, this is the higher point of the song. How do I kind of build up to this point lyrically and instrumentally? So that was kind of the challenge with the song. But let me go ahead and just play for you the chorus, and we'll kind of work backwards from there. So let me actually pull up for you the original demo-ish, work tape-ish thing that I had for this particular track. Here's the original work tape of just the chorus. Here we go.
I'll call you father, and I'll call you friend, and I'll call you faithful, because you're faithful till the end. And I'll call you mighty, and I'll rest in your strength. And I'll call you able, because you pulled me from the grave. Oh, 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 yeah, you pulled me from the grave.
In that work tape, you obviously hear a electric guitar, you hear my lead vocal with some effects on it, and then you hear like the post-chorus section where it's oh, oh, and there's like BGVs and there's the sub bass coming in and that kind of thing. So that is kind of like a rough outline that very much so inspired the direction of the rest of the song. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute that track out, and let's talk about kind of what I did from that point on to get to where that kind of landed. So let's talk about it. Also, I'm pretty tired. I have a 1-year-old. For any of you who are parents, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So please give me a lot of grace. After I kind of had that part recorded, fast forward maybe 6 or so months, and I jumped back into a session, the same session actually, and I kind of started working backwards. I had my guitar and I sat down and I kind of just literally sat down and wrote the verses, the pre-chorus, and the break, and kind of just took that general idea and started painting, if you will. I kind of started going from that place and working on the production. So here is a very rough voice note on my phone of like what the song kind of originally sounded like, just acoustic guitar and vocal. It's really rough. Like, I'm not going to show the whole thing, but just to kind of get an idea. This is important to note also. I was very sick when recording this voice note, so I don't normally sound this bad.
I can't believe what God has done, that he gave his one and only son to come and bring me back home. All creation sings, the Lord has come.
And so on and so forth. So I sat down and wrote the verses, figured out the chord progressions, figured out that the chord progression was going to like be more or less the same as what I already had in the chorus, aside from the pre. And then in the break later on in the song, the chord progression changes a little bit and incorporates a couple of new chords. But this kind of gave me a generalized direction for the song. Like, I had a good starting point, a pretty strong foundation to build upon. So from there, let's start getting into the actual production of the song. So the next thing that I talked about in my last video was step 2, which was finding reference tracks. Now, For this particular song, I don't really think I had many reference tracks. I knew that I kind of generally wanted to go in like a John Bellion type of direction. Some of the songs from Glorious Sound Prep, that kind of like vibe, I wanted to be kind of poppy, but also cinematic and kind of like inter-genre-y. I don't know how to say that. Kind of like crossing over between genres, not particularly locked into one genre, even though I do think this would technically fall into pop or like alt pop. But essentially, that's what I landed on for this track. So I kept the core of the song. I decided that it would be more interesting if instead of just an electric guitar kind of playing diamonds in the verses, I took a piano and I played the same chords but like arpeggiated the chords, and I kind of landed on this. Let me go ahead and just play the intro and the first verse for you. With the kind of somewhat general idea as far as like the sonics and production that I had in mind for the song, kind of a John Bellion type of thing, anthemic type of cinematic, whatever, that kind of world. I knew the direction I was going in. And so with that in mind, I then moved on to point number 3, which is start with the core of the song, or build the bass, build the rhythm section of the song. Now, this particular song doesn't have a whole lot of organic instrumentation until the big beat break later on, where there's like a whole lot of guitars and all that kind of thing. But up until that point, it's primarily programmed elements and like loops and things like that, one-shots from Splice that I manipulated and made sound the way that I wanted to sound. And it's also a lot of ear candy and like synthy parts and that kind of thing. But the core of the song is bass and sub bass, kick pattern that I programmed in for the verses, and piano, and like a diamonding guitar thing. You heard that diamonding guitar on the sub bass and things like that in the intro, and then the kick drum loop comes in that verse. So that's kind of the skeleton of this particular song. So when I first had the song done, the very first like pass of the demo, it sounded kind of like this. Give me 1 second, I have to mute out a whole bunch of stuff, but it sounded kind of like this. Let me get there. And so on. So that was generally the skeleton of the song. And then from here, I kind of just kept following my roadmap, which was next, after that, I went through and I recorded a scratch vocal. Now, typically with my own music, instead of doing a scratch vocal and then all the production and then a final vocal, most of the time, since I already know my workflow really well and I'm like pretty fast when it comes to recording my own vocals, I will just go in and record final vocals. So that's what I did. I went in with my, I think I had my SD1, maybe question mark, by Universal Audio. It's kind of like an SM7B, but I think it sounds a lot better. Anyways, I went in and I recorded this vocal. I'll play that for you.
I can't believe what God has done. Back home, all creation sings, our Lord has come. He freed the slaves, the war was won when he rolled back the stone.
And so on and so forth. I eventually took that scratch vocal, I ran it through Melodyne, pitch corrected it, put a bunch of processing, whatever on it. And yeah, that became my final vocal. It because I don't know if it's like a lazy thing or if it's just like I think I know how to like record it well enough and I know the process well enough to get final vocals from, you know, whatever. Would you like to say anything to the people?
Hi, people. Which song?
From the Grave.
Ooh, that's a good song. You should listen to it when he's done producing it.
I'm already done producing it.
Oh,
It's
you
From the
should
Grave.
listen
It's
to
out
it.
already. What?
I just woke up.
I understand. I'm so tired. We're both tired. We have a 1-year-old.
I just woke up. You should go listen to it because it's out. I was thinking of the Eden Freedom.
Oh, Eden. Yeah.
One.
Speaking of the 1-year-old, she's coming, so you gotta get out of here. Come here. This is the 1-year-old in question. This is why we're so tired. I love you. I love my kids. Love my kiddo. She's so wonderful. But she doesn't, well, she sleeps okay. You get it. If you're a parent, you get it. All right. So at this point, I, recorded the skeleton, did all the things, recorded the scratch vocal, I had the whole arrangement figured out, all that stuff. At this point, this is where I went back around and I recorded everything that I thought would make the song sound more interesting because honestly, it's a pretty bare song. One thing that I'm trying to work on now in my production is utilizing silence and not having every single moment filled with something. It makes your songs more impactful and more creative if you can be intentional with it. A couple of producers that I really love that do this super well are Adam Turley, Logan Martin, and Michael, MYKYL. They're all freaking so goated. Check them out. They're friends of mine. Love their stuff. Oh, and Sajin, also Sajin Nariel. So moving on, I went back and I did everything that I could to make the actual production of the song interesting. So this is where I went back in and added a whole bunch of ear candy. So I don't have a lot of time to go through all of the ear candy, but I will quickly audition some of it. And after I finished my ear candy, I sent the song to my friend Logan Martin and said, hey bro, take an hour, 2 hours, and just throw some ear candy at this and help me make it more interesting. So between him and I, this is the ear candy that we came up with, and then I can kind of show you the rest of the song in context.
I call you father, and I call you friend. I call you father, and I call you friend. King and Lord of all, King and Lord of all. 'Cause you pulled me from the grave.
All right, sweet. So that's a very brief overview of all of the different ear candy that is in this project. And after we had all these things done, I sent the song over to my friend Aaron Archwell, who's just a phenomenal guitarist, and I had him record a crazy guitar solo in this song. And so let me play that for you real fast. And then I can give you a little bit of a preview of what the final song turned out. A super tasteful guitar solo, in my opinion, and I think it's honestly exactly what the song wanted, and I think it's exactly what the song needed, and I think it honestly just took the whole song to like a different level. So I'll play a bit of the chorus. Honestly, I'm probably going to get a copyright strike on my own song, but I'm going to play a bit of the chorus, and I'll play that last break so you can kind of hear how this turned out together.
I call you Father, and I call you friend, and I call you faithful, 'cause you're faithful till the end. And I call you mighty, and I'll rest in your strength. And I call you able, 'cause you pulled me from the grave. Oh, 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 yeah, you pulled me from the grave.
Well, friends, that is the song more or less, and that's an actual way to apply this kind of workflow to your own songs that you produce. So just kind of a quick recap. First, start with the arrangement. Secondly, find good reference tracks. I didn't really have many reference tracks, if any, for this one, but I had a general idea and direction. 3, build out the base of the song, the rhythm section, like the very core and skeleton. 4, record your scratch vocal. And then 5, go back and flesh out all the production. That's everything from risers, impacts, harmonies, extra vocal, ear candy, all that kind of stuff. This is where you put in every single thing that fleshes out the rest of the song. So, and then after that, also, this is kind of like a subsection of the finish the production. This is where you can go back and record your final vocals, which, by the way, this is typically how I do it for songs that I produce for other people, for clients. So that's generally the workflow, and I think it really works well for me, and I hope that you guys get value out of it too. If you guys like this song and you want to see a full breakdown of this, let me know. And I'm planning on putting a full breakdown on Patreon. If you don't already support me on Patreon, go ahead and head over there, check it out for just a few dollars a month. I think it's $6 a month for this particular tier. You get access to full breakdowns, like full in-depth breakdowns of everything that I'm doing in the production of the song, everything that's happening in the mix of the song, if I mixed the song. And I think there's a lot of value. I think there's a whole lot you can learn there, a lot of insights that you might not already know. So anyways, thanks so much for being here. Another way you can support the channel for free is by hitting that subscribe button and by sharing it with a friend that you think would get value out of this video. Thanks so much again for being here. I'll see you again soon with another video, probably. I have another daughter who's going to be born in like a couple weeks, so I also might be MIA, but Thanks for being here. Love you guys. See you.